And we will begin with our first question. This will start with Mr. DeVore. That question is, if elected mayor, what would be your top priorities to achieve in the first 6 to 12 months?
First off, safety. People don't want to just feel safe. They want to know that they're safe and make sure that when they walk the streets, they know exactly what's happening. I want to go ahead and take care of our police force, make sure they got well versed when it comes to their equipment, their man hours. I want to hire another 500 police officers so they go in the neighborhoods and they could talk to their folks there. Now, the key point is this. If you really want to understand what's going on, then get involved with the group that can help them. So when we have police officers on the corner saying, hey, Joe, I'm here, and they focus on that, now we're talking about going from block to block, door to door, and taking care of crime because you're getting other people involved in it, which means citizens getting involved and making sure that everything is going correct.
Ms. Parrish-Wright.
Thank you. The first 6 months to 12 months of my time in office would, one, we need a forensic audit of many of the departments. Louisville Metro employs more than 5,000 people. I would spend a great deal of time meeting with them. Some positions will be eliminated. Some people will be able to share about ways to make Louisville Metro government better. We can't fix what's outside until we fix the internal issues with Louisville Metro. I will also meet with the unions to make sure that everyone is getting their just due on what needs to happen and pay. And we have a lot of discrepancies. People in Louisville Metro government they qualify for social services. I want to know how they're able to do their jobs, how we can make it better, and I will spend the first 6 months cleaning house.
If elected mayor, what would be your top priorities to achieve in the first 6 to 12 months? Ms. Burnell.
My two top priorities would be public safety and doing audits of our spending that has gone on for the last few years. I think people in Louisville are struggling with the mayor standing before them and telling them that crime and public safety have improved when everything that you see around you tells you differently. So I think I think safety, people feeling safe in their community, is the number one priority. And I think we have to work to get LMPD up to full strength. It has been below that for a very long time, and we have to do something to fix it. And the other thing is, I think it's very important for everyone to know where your tax money is being spent. And to that end, I would conduct audits to see where it's been spent, where it's been misused, and how we can clean that up.
Mr. DiTillo.
I can't help but agree with the others. We need massive audits. We need to know every dime that's been spent, and we need to focus on safety as well. There's been drive-bys on my street in the last year. There's been multiple shootings in my neighborhood. I live in the Beachmont community, and anybody who has paid attention can tell you that what they see on the streets versus what they hear in the news and how much better crime has gotten just don't match up. It's as plain as this giant nose on my face. I will also start making the deals that's going to bring the business to Louisville, make this place habitable and an environment of growth for everybody on every level, even the entrepreneurs, the people like you and me.
Repeating the question, if elected mayor, what would be your top priorities to achieve in the first 6 to 12 months? Mr. Hurt.
Thank you. My top priority, of course, is reversing the merger. Currently, our values within Jefferson County are misaligned. The East End has a veto over the decisions that people downtown want to do. And Metro takes money from Valley Station, Fern Creek, and spends almost nothing of consequence there. Lastly, Louisville is a target of Frankfurt by virtue of its being a category of 1. We are the only first-class city in the state of Kentucky, so that Frankfurt is able to pass laws that hurt Louisville or that affect us with never mentioning the word Louisville. Reverse the merger.
Mr. Bailey.
The two top priorities of mine are accountability and affordability. Now, gas prices and housing costs are driving hardworking Louisvillians into debt, let alone the price of groceries at the store. Our housing shortage should be remedied by the city partnering with local nonprofit housing organizations, changing local regulations, government-funded housing programs, and overall making it easier for Americans to afford the ability to live their lives without being on the brink of survival. Now, for accountability, we've seen time after time LMPD officers get cases dismissed against them, horrific ones, like the Breonna Taylor stuff.
Mr. Greenberg.
The number one responsibility of being mayor of Louisville is to make sure that everyone feels safe and is safe. We've reduced violent crime by over 40%. I want to thank Chief Paul Humphrey and all of the hardworking men of LMPD who engage in public service to keep us safe every day. We'll continue to give them the resources that they need and working to prevent crime from happening in the first place by strengthening partnerships with organizations that support our youth and young adults who are far too often the victims and perpetrators of violent crime. Also, at the beginning of the next term will be a new session of the General Assembly in Frankfurt. We've made great strides working with the state to invest in our city, and there'll be another opportunity to build more housing, to improve public safety, expand early childhood education. That's what I'll be focused on first.